Well, this is probably the most straightforward video I've ever recorded or will ever record, but it's been a couple of weeks since I last sat down with you all to chat and give you an update as to what the heck is going on. So last we spoke, I said that I was going to hold off on doing any major life updates just because so much has been changing lately, and that's been the case yet again. Shocker. So I decided instead of just posting the chaos, not only did I unfortunately not have time between school and some research that I'll get into in a few minutes, but I also just really needed to take a step back away from the camera and reevaluate what it is that I'm doing moving forward. And before you jump to conclusions, this is not a quitting YouTube video. I do still very much enjoy being in front of and behind the camera, and I don't plan on stopping that anytime soon. But I do think that it's going to look a little bit different, especially as we get into the end of the year, the holidays, and the new year. As many of you probably remember me saying a few weeks ago, I am somewhat unexpectedly heading back out to California. That's where I'm originally from, and for the past couple of months, I've been living in Denver, I guess since spring now, and it's actually October. So that feels like a little more than a couple months. And it's not because I can't commit to something. It's not because I'm giving up on my degree program. Quite the opposite, actually. It's not because I hated Denver so much that I just had to escape. It's because I have a family member, my dad, who many of you have seen on this channel before with my builds and around during the holidays, is going through kind of a major health thing, a major surgery, and I want to be able to be there to help support him and my mom and to be together during the holidays, which to me is an extremely important time of year to spend with those that you love and care about. And so the timing really just made sense for me to go home. My parents actually have lived on the road for the past year or so we don't have a home base any longer, but we'll be getting a short-term rental altogether, actually, nearby my dad's doctors. So that way he has the ability to go to PT, to go to therapy, and to do all the things that he needs to keep his health in check post-surgery. I will be there helping out my mom, helping out my dad, taking care of Terra, who's looking at this thing like, what the heck is that food item on your stick? It's just a microphone, I'm sorry. And also watching over my parents' dog while they're out at appointments and running errands. So this change was not expected. I'm grateful, that's for sure, to be in a position where I'm able to go home and to help out and to really just uproot my life. But I don't think Denver is done with me yet. And I know that's a question a lot of you have had is, what the heck happened to the apartment if you're living out here in the Subaru like I have been for the last 2 weeks or so? I did end my lease. I no longer have my apartment in Denver. I moved everything into storage temporarily except what's in the Subaru and what's on the roof. And that should last me the next couple of months, I'm hoping. But the apartment in Denver, regardless of my move back, ended up not being a great fit for a multitude of reasons that I don't really need to get that into. But the short of it is I lived very close to downtown in a very busy, very noisy, very car accident prone area. My car ended up getting hit or damaged in some way twice while I was there, and I had some really bad luck with vehicles in general in that area. And things just kept happening to the point where I thought, I'm not a huge believer in like signs, but when the universe is yelling at you like that, it's like over and over, I do tend to listen. And so that's what I did. I said, you know what? If Denver calls me back, I will get a new lease. I'll move back out here. And that's looking like where I'll be headed afterwards. I know that originally I was saying I'm probably going to get back on the road full time, but there are just some opportunities and things that I want to pursue there in the Front Range and in Colorado in general that I feel it might be best to have a home base out there still come 2025. Speaking of the Front Range, speaking of Denver and being in Colorado, my degree program is out there as well, and I already have 2 trips booked back out there that are somewhat program related. And so being nearby my school, my network, my community, and also a vast job network compared to many other locations for the industry that I'm specifically looking to go into, which is the outdoor industry, it's really hard to beat. Denver and Boulder and the surrounding towns are really kind of like primo destinations for that. So in the meantime, I'm probably going to be looking for additional work so that way I can get my feet wet, get deeper into the industry while still pursuing YouTube, probably more on the side, honestly. Which brings me to my next point. I've gotten feedback in the past, I've talked about it in the past, about my work with brands. And I know we are all inundated with brand work and advertisements day after day, and it can get really frustrating. And as a creator, it can be frustrating because I feel like sometimes my videos have to be based around a product. And although I would never promote a product that I don't personally use and believe in, it does tend to take away, for me at least, from the creative process, which is why I started this in the first place, out of a love for capturing and storytelling and creating a beautiful picture on screen. And I feel like slowly but surely over the last year especially, I have gotten away from that as I've needed to rely more and more on brand partnerships to fund this line of work for myself. And so that's a big part of my whole expansion of career, if you'll call it that, is that I think moving forward, not now, but in the future in 2025, that I would much prefer to have this remain a regular part of my life, but something that I can do without such a financial pressure on my chest that requires me to continuously promote products over a good story. So that's where I stand there. I'm not quitting YouTube. I will still be making videos, especially through the end of this year in January. It's going to look slightly different because I will be based in California, not Colorado, but I'm going to try to keep them as adventurous as possible out of the Subaru this winter. All right, we touched on the apartment, we touched on Denver, we touched on career, we touched on my dad's health and moving back to California. The ambulance, I think, is next up. And that is another one that y'all have really had a lot of questions about, and I don't blame you. I specifically refrained from posting anything about the ambulance. The process of determining whether or not it was going to be a good fit for me, the decision factors that went into it, because I feel like at this point, having been on the road for as long as I have in various rigs, having built things out and had experience with reliable rigs like the Tundra and really unreliable rigs like my bus, I just felt in my gut that when the time came, I would know what to do. I would know what to do. And that was the case. One night I decided, you know what, instead of just mulling on this and thinking about it over and over, I don't even know if I can resell this ambulance. I got a good deal on it, I felt, but there had been mechanical issues and I was really trying to sell it without losing any money. Ultimately, I basically broke even. I think I might have lost a couple $100 in registration fees, but I posted the ambulance locally in Denver, and I don't know if she's watching, Morgan, but Morgan is the new owner of that ambulance, and so far, fingers crossed, it has been working really well for her, which I'm really, really happy for. I would never want to sell a rig to somebody that was going to have more issues, but prior to selling it, I took it back to the power stroke specialist. We discussed all of the options, what he thought could go wrong next, and he gave it a full on once over to make sure that it was looking good for her and gave it a clean bill of health. And so far, again, Morgan, I really hope it's working out for you. The ambulance seems to be doing well. But I decided that it was not going to be the rig for me. One, because of timing. I purchased the ambulance about 2 days before realizing I was going to have to come back out to California. And while building in the winter in Denver also would not have been ideal, at least there I could have gotten a shop space and had the time to invest in it, probably filmed a lot of it and used it for a lot of my work this winter. But because I'm going home to help caretake and to help support my family, my time is already going to be limited between work, between applying for internships and jobs, and my new degree program, which I'll get to in a second. I just wasn't going to have the time, realistically, to be building something out. And when you put that on top of the anxiety I was already feeling about the breakdowns that I had just been having, it just really seemed like it was the wrong place and the wrong time. And so I posted it. I think Morgan came out maybe 16 hours later, put a deposit down that night, and after a little bit of titling work with the state of Colorado, was able to drive it away just shortly before I left Denver. I know that's a really big change. I'd been saying that I was going to get back on the road full time in 2025, and there are definitely going to be periods, weeks, maybe even months where I will be on the road most of or all of the time, just in the Subaru. I've decided for now to keep it simple. I don't want to go into a lot of debt for a rig. I don't want to invest all of my savings and then some into a vehicle when I might end up paying rent or might want to relocate for a job where I might not be able to live in a rig. And it just seems to me, at least, again, like the timing is not right. And so we're comfortable in here with a limited amount of gear for a couple weeks at least at a time. In between then, maybe we'll do some Airbnbs through winter, or maybe I'll look to go rent a place again. But for now, I think I'm starting to shift into a phase of my life where more part-time road life is going to be realistic, to make sure that I can still prioritize and chase other passions and dreams while balancing time in the outdoors, because that's really why I got out here in the first place, was to fall back in love with time outside. And I've definitely accomplished that. So I'd say that it was a win. Last but not least, Terra. Her health when we moved to Denver was not doing great. It was part of the reason that I got off the road. The stress and anxiety of her illness at the time, which she was struggling with liver enzymes. She wasn't breaking down food very well. She was losing a lot of weight really rapidly. One of the biggest reasons we moved to Denver has since been resolved. Fingers crossed. We are managing it now. We've changed her diet, actually switched from higher protein foods and giving her a lot more meat products and animal products to something a bit more balanced. She still eats a lot of whole foods. She's still on a very high grade kibble, but now there's a better balance. And I know people are going to go wild in the comments about what is right and wrong for her or for dogs in general. And while I respect that, we are working with a vet and we are closely monitoring her health. We have checkup appointments pretty much every month. I think we're switching to every other month here pretty soon, just to make sure that she is staying healthy. But she's gained a good amount of weight back. She's super active. Her spunky, ferocious little personality is back full swing, and she prefers being outside again more so than she does indoors, which was not necessarily the case when we first moved there. All right, this is getting long. I obviously did not plan. I'm just kind of going through my brain right now and wanted to get this all out to you as quickly as possible. But the only other thing I think I wanted to touch on today is what you can look forward to. Because I will be getting off the road full time, loosely. I've been living in an apartment and I've been in this full time for 2 weeks now. I will be back in a home and just traveling in this for trips and time outdoors. You can probably expect to actually see more short form content from me in the weeks and months to come. So if you're not already following me on Instagram or Patreon, I'll be posting more and more updates there. And on YouTube, I will still be posting. I just don't quite know yet what that content is going to look like, because again, the next couple of weeks, my dad is having surgery, in less than 10 days. So next week, I will be there full on for at least a couple of weeks, really just kind of in the thick of it. And until then, I guess leave your comments down below for what you might like to see considering all these updates. I'll be more part-time on the road. I don't want to bore you all, but I do want to share, again, my love for the outdoors, the hobbies that bring us out here, and these beautiful spaces that we all get to recreate in. And I wanted to do it in a way that you guys feel connected to as well. So maybe drop your suggestions down below. Thank you all for your patience as I've been pretty much AWOL for the past couple of weeks. There will be an uptick again in content and communication from me, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I just want to say thank you for all of you who have been here, whether it's been a week, a month, a year, or 3 years since I really started posting back in 2021. I would not have even gotten to try out this career path had it not been for this community and for all of your support, monetary or otherwise. I'm not just talking about people who are on Patreon. I'm talking about you all who watch, comment, like, and just interact with my videos in any way, shape, or form. Send me comforting messages every single week. I very much appreciate you all. I could not have done this all without you. I couldn't continue to do it all without you. And I can't wait to take you all along on this next phase, era of my life. It was unexpected, but sometimes the best things are. All right. I'm going to go drink my seltzer, which I cracked and have not taken a sip of since. And enjoy the last of this sunset. And I'll see you all in the next one.